You know it's not right, but you still stay. Not because you're confused, not because you don't see the signs. You do. You notice the silence, the way conversations feel forced, the way effort feels one-sided, the way you're always the one trying to fix things, and yet, you stay. You tell yourself, it's just a phase. You tell yourself every relationship has ups and downs. You tell yourself maybe you're overthinking it. But deep down, there's a quiet voice that keeps repeating the same thing. This doesn't feel right anymore. And still, you don't leave. Because the problem isn't that you don't see the truth. The problem is, your brain doesn't want to accept it. See, when this relationship started, it felt different. It felt exciting, easy, natural. They gave you attention. They made you feel chosen, important, seen. And your brain locked onto that feeling, not the person, the feeling. That version of them became your reference point, your standard, your "this is what we are." So now, even if everything has changed, your brain keeps going back to the beginning. It keeps saying, it was real once, it can be real again. And that's where you get stuck, because now you're not in a relationship with who they are today. You're in a relationship with who they used to be. So you try harder. You become more patient. You lower your expectations. You ignore things you would never ignore before, not because you're weak, but because your brain hates losing something that once felt good. It doesn't process it as, this is not working anymore. It processes it as, try harder, get that feeling back, and without realizing it, you slowly start training yourself to stay in something that hurts you. You start normalizing things that don't feel right. You start accepting less than what you need. You start explaining away behaviors that used to bother you. And the worst part is, it doesn't happen suddenly. It happens slowly, quietly, one compromise at a time, until one day, you don't even recognize yourself in the relationship anymore. You used to be more expressive. Now you hold back. You used to feel secure. Now you overthink everything. You used to feel valued. Now you question your worth. And still, you stay. Because leaving doesn't just mean losing them. It means letting go of everything you believed this could be. It means accepting that the version you fell for is not coming back. And that's hard, because your brain doesn't like unfinished stories. It wants closure. It wants resolution. It wants things to work out. So instead of leaving, it convinces you to wait just a little longer. Maybe things will change. Maybe they're just going through something. But deep down, you already know. You feel it in your body, that heaviness, that constant tension, that feeling where you're not fully at peace, even when things are calm. That's not overthinking. That's awareness. But awareness is uncomfortable. So your brain tries to override it. It tells you to focus on the good moments, the memories, the small efforts. It reminds you of how it felt in the beginning. So you stay connected to a past instead of facing the present. And this is where many people get stuck for years, not because they don't know better, but because they keep chasing a version that no longer exists. And sometimes it goes even deeper. Sometimes it's not just about them. It's about you, your attachment, your emotional investment, the life you imagined with them. You think about the future you planned, the things you talked about, the version of your life that included them. And your brain says, you can't just throw that away. So you hold on, even when it hurts, even when it drains you, even when you know this isn't what you deserve. And sometimes, you even start thinking about other things. What if we had kids? What if I leave and regret it? What if this was my only chance? And suddenly, it's not just about the relationship anymore. It becomes fear. Fear of losing. Fear of starting over. Fear of being alone. And your brain would rather keep you in something familiar, even if it's painful, than push you into something unknown. So it convinces you to stay, not because staying is right, but because staying feels safer. But here's the truth. Most people avoid. Staying in the wrong relationship doesn't protect you. It slowly disconnects you from yourself. Every time you ignore your intuition, you lose a little trust in yourself. Every time you accept less than you need, you lower your standard without realizing it. Every time you stay when you know you should leave, you reinforce the pattern. And the longer it continues, the harder it becomes to break. Because now it's not just a relationship. It's a habit, a pattern your brain has learned. This is what love feels like. This is what I accept. This is what I stay in. And unless you interrupt that pattern, it will repeat with the same person or the next. This is why some people keep ending up in similar situations. Different faces, same feeling, because the pattern was never broken. Now, here's the shift. You don't need to force yourself to leave immediately. You don't need to make a dramatic decision overnight. You just need to see clearly. See what you're holding on to. See what's actually happening, not what you wish was happening. Ask yourself one simple question. Am I staying because this feels right, or because I'm afraid to let go? That question alone changes everything, because once you see the difference, you can't unsee it, and slowly, your behavior starts to change. You stop chasing. You stop over-explaining. You stop trying to fix something that isn't yours to fix. You start stepping back, not out of anger, not out of ego, but out of clarity. And clarity is powerful, because when you truly understand what's happening, you don't need to force decisions. They happen naturally. You stop investing where there's no return. You stop waiting for potential. You stop hoping for a version that no longer exists. And instead, you start choosing yourself, not in a dramatic way, not in a loud way, but in small, quiet decisions. You protect your energy. You listen to your instincts. You stop ignoring what you feel, and over time, that changes everything. Because the goal isn't just to leave the wrong relationship. The goal is to stop repeating it, to understand why you stayed. So next time, you don't. And if you've felt this, if you've stayed longer than you should have, if you've ignored what you knew deep down, you're not alone. And more importantly, you're not broken. Your brain was just trying to hold on to something that once felt good. But now, you know better. And once you know, you start choosing differently.